Hello and welcome. It's tough to be a filmmaker in Saudi Arabia, where many conservative Muslims shun movies as sinful. So to be a female director makes the challenge even greater. This week on 101, meet the outspoken former television host turned filmmaker activist, Haifaa Mansour. She attributes her strength of character to being one of a dozen children and daughter of the famous Saudi poet Abdurrahman al-Mansour, and from the outset, the television host of More Than a Woman on the popular Lebanese channel LBC was tackling sensitive issues and problems that affected Arab women. For a Saudi to openly discuss topics such as the participation of women in politics, homosexuality, and the mistreatment of women in the Saudi courts was pushing the boundaries of debate well beyond what people in the region were used to. Mansour was always driven to take these issues on as a filmmaker, a profession that was alien to most Saudis, especially as the kingdom does not have movie theaters and many staunch conservatives shun bringing taboo subjects into the open. The young movie director stirred up controversy with her films such as Women Without Shadows, Who, and The Bitter Journey. Mansour raised even more eyebrows when she married an American diplomat in May 2007. Even as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia looks to liberalize and modernize, Haifaa Mansour is always one step ahead in breaking new ground. Haifaa, it's a pleasure to talk with you.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you too.
Thank you. And it's even more unusual to be talking to a Saudi Arabian filmmaker, a woman filmmaker at that, when there are no cinemas in Saudi Arabia. Must be a bit of a frustration for you.
Yeah, definitely. But a lot of people say that there are no cinemas, like theaters, but most importantly, we have to have like the infrastructure for our cinemas, because there are like movie theaters in Bahrain and Emirates and all that, but they never had like the industry. They didn't have industry or local filmmaking scene. And so it's more important to have like the infrastructure where you train people and to have the culture that understands films before we talk about movie theaters.
So how do Saudis respond to you, particularly the men, I guess, to you doing what you do?
All right.
I opened a can of worms there, didn't I?
I think Saudis are very conservative. And they're not used to see women who speak up and who don't want to conform to what the society wants them to be. So I think I provoke them, but I think at this time, Saudi Arabia is opening up. So a lot of people are celebrating the existence of me and other girls who are trying to bring change. So I think I came just in the right time.
There is a mistake, though, isn't there, especially among the West, who think that Saudi women, because they don't speak up, must be unintelligent. Because I've met so many intelligent Saudi women. So obviously, it's not that the women aren't intelligent, it's the fact, I guess, it's opportunity, isn't it?
Definitely. There are lots of talented Saudi women, but they're never given the chance. And sometimes they are intimidated. They don't want to speak up because the society is very vicious when it comes to women speaking up and pursuing their dreams, especially if that's the career they chose is to be under the spotlight. Women are expected to keep a low profile in Arab cultures and certainly in Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, it's hard for Saudi women.
Does it make it difficult for you to go out there and get funding, for example? Do you find people don't take you seriously?
No, on the contrary. I thought, and when I talk to people and I say I'm a Saudi filmmaker, they want to see, because Saudi women are being excluded and away for long. I've always been surrounded by curiosity, and I've always found a platform to speak up. But as a filmmaker, when I go back to Saudi, there are no cameras. I don't find like a cameraman who's good enough to carry on my vision. So as a filmmaker, and I think even if I were a man, I would face the same problems, but I wouldn't have the same platform because everybody is interested to see what this Saudi woman is saying. So I think I have an advantage and an edge over men, and that is, for a change, is really good.
Yes, for a change. I'll go into the details of your films a little bit later, but I do have to point out, I was interested to read, you didn't initially want to touch on women's subjects, did you?
No, I really didn't want people to say, like, because she's a woman, she's only talking about women's issues. But when I did my documentary and it was about women, I was amazed how it touched lots of women. They sent me emails, and also the film won lots of awards. And I felt like it's like an area that people don't have a chance to get into. Especially in Saudi Arabia, it's difficult for a male filmmaker to break into this secluded kind of world of women and have the same opportunities as I have. So I'm reconsidering that.
Now, do you think that men in Saudi Arabia learn something from watching your films?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Men and women in Saudi Arabia they don't understand each other.
That's all over the world.
Yeah, I think maybe more in Saudi.
Let me ask you about your move away from work you originally did. You were a host for a while. You started as a filmmaker, but then you became a television host, and a very popular television host in Saudi Arabia. More Than a Woman, I think, was the show if you translate it to English.
That's right. It was a very good experience for me. And it is more straightforward because you bring an issue and you talk about it, and we concentrated on social political issues surrounding Saudi women. And for me, it was really good and it's also immediate. Like after you finish from an episode, people will start texting or talking to you or sending an email. So I felt like it's a very good experience, and I want to do more of that. But because I'm not based now in the Middle East, I'm in Australia, it is hard for me to do like shows, but it's easier for me to do films. But maybe in the future, I'm reconsidering.
But you're actually you're back into your studies now.
Yes.
And you got the prestigious Endeavour Scholarship, the Australian equivalent of a Fulbright, for those who understand that. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
What is your goal from your studies? What do you want to come out with? Is it just evidence that you can do what you do?
Absolutely. I had lots of, like, whenever I go, people want to hear what I'm saying, but I don't want to make a film that is not like world-class film. I want to prove that not because I'm only a Saudi female that I can get into a festival and win an award. I want to win an award because of the merit of the film, how good it is. And I think lots of filmmakers in the Middle East, they don't understand the importance of education. It is really, we have to start like establish solid foundation for our careers and for our skills so we can have a better opportunity in speaking up and having our message across.
I have to take you back to your childhood because you were the 8th child among 12,
That's
which
right.
For a lot of people is going to be hard to imagine because families have shrunk so much. What do you remember? What are your earliest childhood memories with so many kids around you?
Oh yeah, my childhood was really, really wonderful. My parents are very supportive, and I grew up in a huge house, and we always had things to do together. It was really a unique experience. I wouldn't have 12 kids myself.
It's harder nowadays,
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
But how did you get on with your siblings?
Great. We have very good, I think because my parents are educated too, so we are very privileged. My family is very supportive, very kind. Our relation, and even with my brothers, they're very supportive, and they're not very conservative like you would imagine. Saudi men, like, they're always supportive. When I started my first film, my brother acted with me because he wanted to say, I'm proud of her and I'm proud of what she's doing. And the second film, my other brother wrote the script with me, so they're always around.
I gather being one of 12 children made you a good negotiator.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it? The skill? What was the skill? I mean, what did you have to negotiate with the others?
Yeah, lots of things. We have to find a spot. Like it's only 2 parents and their love is divided between 12. So you always have to compete for that. Yeah. So.
How did your parents influence you? Your mother was a social worker. I know she concentrated on building homes after that, building her home, but
Yes.
I mean, in that sense. And your father was a famous poet, Haifaa Mansour.
Yeah.
What kind of influences did each of them have on you? What characteristics have you got from them?
Well, the first thing, they gave me freedom of choice, and that is not given to any Saudi woman. I've never felt like because I am a girl and that I cannot do things. And when I chose filmmaking, I went to my father and I asked him, and I told him I want to be a filmmaker. And he was like, are you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yeah. So I said, like, yeah, if you really can't break into it, just go. So my parents are very supportive, especially my father.
You couldn't have family days out at the cinema as many people do in the West. And so I gather your father introduced you to movies. He was the one responsible in a way by showing you videos.
Yeah, that's right. When we were younger, he would get us, I think, to keep us quiet, maybe. And we'd get us all together and we have a big screen and he will show us films and like Disney things. So, yeah.
And there you are. You went off and married an American, Bradley Neiman. How did they respond to that?
Oh, no, they love Brad. He's such a nice person. And they know that we fell in love and he is really genuinely a nice person. So they don't care if he's an American or not. I think it's who we are as a person again. So that is what matters. And I think, like, in a way, they liked that we are bridging other cultures. It is not like we are very like enclosed, or we don't want to open up and meet other cultures and meet other people. I think they liked that. They saw that's the fruit of their way of bringing us.
I want to talk more about the films you've done in a moment, but we're going to take a very short break here. We're back with more one-on-one in just a moment.